Sony at CES 2025. They really did shake things up.
Yeah.
We're doing a deep dive into Sony's vision for what driving is going to look like in the future.
Okay.
And get this.
Yeah.
It's not about building cars. It's about changing what it's like to be inside the car.
Right.
So think like Entertainment Hub, but, on wheels.
Yeah.
From augmented reality to AI that, plans your whole trip for you.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack how Sony wants to, totally change how we think about cars.
I think what's really interesting is that they get that, the idea of what a car is changing really fast. And they're not just adding tech to add it.
Yeah.
They're making the tech part of driving.
Okay, let's break this down.
Sure.
The press release said advanced in-car entertainment systems. But that seems kind of basic.
Right.
What did they actually show that got everyone excited?
Yeah, so they weren't just making things a little bit better. They were changing everything.
Okay.
For example, they showed this 3D sound system that can make different zones of sound inside the car.
Oh, wow.
So you can listen to your podcast and someone else can listen to their music.
Yeah.
All without headphones.
Wow. I can see how that would be a game changer for families.
Right.
No more arguing over what to listen to.
Exactly.
But let's talk more about this whole entertainment hub idea.
Sure.
What would that actually be like?
Okay, so imagine this.
Okay.
You get in your car
Yeah.
and it knows it's you.
Uh-huh.
So the temperature changes to what you like.
Okay.
Your favorite music starts playing.
Wow.
And the lights set the mood. And that's just the beginning.
Okay, you've got me interested.
Yeah.
I'm picturing my living room, but in a car.
Exactly.
But is it more than just comfort?
Yeah.
Does it change how we use the car?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
How?
Sony is going all in on voice and gesture control.
Okay.
So no more touch screens or buttons. It's totally hands-free.
So, I could change the temperature with a wave of my hand. Yeah, that's true.
Or start navigation with my voice.
Yep.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Right.
But does all this tech make driving better? Or is it just distracting?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sony says their AI is like a co-pilot.
Okay.
It manages all the information and makes sure you're safe.
Uh-huh.
They even showed this AR windshield.
Yeah, I saw that.
It shows you dangers.
Wow.
Gives you directions.
Okay.
And even changes how see-through it is depending on the light.
So it's not just about entertainment then. It's about making driving safer, too.
Exactly.
It's helping you be more aware of what's around you.
Yeah, it's improving your senses,
Okay.
but it goes even further. They want to connect your car to your whole digital life. So imagine your car reminds you to buy groceries
Okay.
because your fridge is empty. Or it automatically changes your route to avoid traffic.
Wow.
All using real-time data.
So it's like my car is a personal assistant.
Yeah, basically. It knows what I need before I do.
Exactly.
It's like having a concierge in my car.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, how does Sony see this tech changing the whole car industry?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Sony doesn't just want to make better systems for cars. They want to make the car itself like a platform for new ideas.
Like the next smartphone.
Exactly.
So are car companies going to be competing on software instead of horsepower?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, that's a big change.
And that's why Sony is so different.
How so?
They're not a car company.
Right.
They're a tech company.
Yeah.
They know software, AI, and how people use things. They're saying, we don't build cars, we build what's inside cars.
That's pretty bold.
Yeah.
Can regular car companies keep up?
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Some companies are already working with tech companies
Okay.
to make their own advanced systems.
Right.
But others might have trouble adapting.
It seems like Sony wants to work with other companies, not against them. They even said they might open source some of their tech.
I think that's smart.
Why?
It lets other companies make apps and services that work with Sony systems.
So it's like building a whole ecosystem,
Exactly.
not just Sony doing everything.
Right. It's about making a whole new industry.
Okay, so imagine
Yeah.
I can download apps for my car like I do for my phone.
Right.
Apps that control my house. Apps that tell me where to go.
Yeah.
Even apps that make my commute fun.
Like games.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
But there's one thing we haven't talked about.
What's that?
Data.
Oh, yeah.
All this personalization and connectivity, it means our cars are collecting tons of data about us.
That's true.
Our driving, our preferences, even our emotions.
Yeah.
That has to be a privacy issue, really.
You're right. It's a big concern.
Yeah.
And Sony knows it.
Okay.
They said they care about security and transparency. But we definitely need to keep talking about this.
It makes me think about who owns all this data. if our cars are always watching us,
Right?
who owns that information?
That's a tough question.
And how can we make sure companies use it responsibly?
It's something we all need to think about.
Yeah.
It's not just about cars.
Right.
It's about how we live in a world where everything is collecting data on us.
So this is bigger than just driving.
Definitely.
It's about privacy, data, and our relationship with tech.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's change gears a bit
Sure.
and talk about augmented reality.
Okay.
Sony showed some amazing demos
Yeah.
with AR on the windshield and dashboard,
It looks futuristic.
like a sci-fi movie. But is that really going to happen?
AR is definitely exciting,
Yeah.
and it could change how we drive.
Yeah.
But there are some challenges,
Okay, like what?
like making sure you can see the AR clearly in any light
Right.
and making it work smoothly with the car's other systems.
I bet there are safety concerns too.
For sure.
We've all seen people walking into things because they're staring at their phones. Well, drivers get distracted by AR too.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Car companies know this is a risk.
Okay.
Sony said their system is context aware.
What does that mean?
It means it only shows you what you need when you need it.
So it's not just throwing information at me all the time.
No, it's more like
Yeah.
it's like a co-pilot
Wow,
that's always watching but only steps in when it has to.
Okay, that makes sense.
So like navigation.
Yeah.
It only shows up when you're close to a turn.
Okay.
And alerts only pop up if they're really important for safety.
So it's about giving me the right information
Yeah.
at the right time
Exactly.
in a way that helps me, not distracts me.
Right.
But even if the tech is safe and works well, will people actually want AR in their cars?
Good question.
Or will it just be a cool demo that no one uses?
I think it depends on how good the experience is.
Okay.
If car companies can make AR apps that are useful, easy to use, and don't distract you,
Yeah.
then I think people will love it. But it'll take time to get there.
It's a big challenge.
For sure.
That could change how we think about driving completely.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Okay, let's take a step back.
Sure.
What does all this mean for our listeners? If I'm buying a car in 5 years,
Yeah.
what should I be looking for?
Here's what I'd say.
Oh.
Don't just look at the usual stuff like horsepower and gas mileage.
Right.
Pay attention to the software, the user interface, and the AI.
So it's not about how fast it goes,
No.
but how smart it is.
Exactly.
Okay, what else?
Think about how you want to use the car. Do you care about entertainment, productivity, safety?
Okay.
Different cars will be good for different things.
So it's like choosing a smartphone or a computer.
Yeah, you want something that fits your digital life.
Makes sense. What else?
Don't be afraid of change. Cars are going to be very different in the future.
It sounds like things are going to get really exciting.
I think so.
And maybe a little scary.
Maybe a little.
I'm excited to see what happens.
Me too.
Speaking of the future,
Yeah.
Sony's presentation made people wonder about self-driving cars.
Uh-huh.
How does their vision fit with that?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect way to start the last part of our deep dive.
We were talking about how Sony's ideas for in-car entertainment might change self-driving cars.
Yeah.
It seems like they would go together, right?
It does.
If no one's driving,
Right.
the car's basically a moving entertainment center.
A lot of companies were thinking that way a few years ago. But Sony's doing something different.
Okay, what are they doing?
They're not just saying, let's put screens everywhere when you don't have to drive.
Right.
They're thinking about how to make the tech better for passengers.
So we wouldn't just be watching stuff.
Right.
We could interact with the world in new ways.
Like what?
Imagine wearing AR glasses that tell you about landmarks as you go by. Or taking a virtual tour of a historical place while the car drives you there.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, there are so many possibilities.
But if we're always in these augmented experiences, will we lose touch with the real world?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
A lot of people are thinking about that.
Like who?
City planners, people who study ethics, even philosophers.
Wow.
As tech gets better, we have to think about what might go wrong, but it could also help us connect with the world in new ways.
Okay, let's think about it from the other side.
Okay.
What if self-driving cars become normal
Yeah.
and everyone has these Sony entertainment systems?
Yeah.
What happens to the fun of driving?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Like the excitement of driving fast or feeling in control of the car.
Car people have been asking that for a long time.
Yeah, I can see why.
It's possible that those things might become less common, like riding horses today.
So you think we
Yeah.
might have two kinds of cars?
Maybe.
Self-driving ones for entertainment
Right.
and regular cars for people who like to drive.
That could happen. And that might not be a bad thing.
Right.
It could lead to better cars in both categories.
It's interesting to think that tech could change.
Yeah.
Not just how we drive,
Uh-huh.
but what we think a car even is.
Cars have always been more than just transportation.
Sure.
They're about freedom status,
Right.
even showing who you are
Right.
as tech changes.
Yeah.
Those meanings will change too.
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming.
I know what you mean.
All these possibilities.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
It's a time of big change, and we don't know what's going to happen.
But there are a lot of opportunities too.
Definitely.
The choices we make now
Right.
will affect how people get around for a long time.
So what's the main takeaway for our listeners?
Yeah. What should we be thinking about when we drive?
I think the most important thing is to keep asking questions.
Okay.
Don't just believe everything you hear.
Right.
Make sure technology helps people,
Uh-huh.
not the other way around.
I like that.
We all have a say in what the future looks like.
Well said.
Thanks.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into what Sony thinks driving will be like.
It was a good one.
It's clear that it's not just about entertainment anymore.
Right.
It's about how we see cars
Yeah.
and how we use technology in general.
We're just at the beginning of this conversation,
Uh-huh.
and we hope you'll keep thinking about it.
Thanks for listening, everyone.